Hello, everybody, and welcome back to MUP Halo, the only Halo Flashpoint show that move around their schedule. So the episode actually comes out on one of the hosts' birthday, and I'm not going to say which one, and it could be me. I'm Wiki Dave, and with me, as always, I've got James005. How are you doing, James?
Happy birthday, Dave. I'm doing well.
It's not my birthday yet. When this episode comes out, which I'm not going to tell you guys when this episode comes out. Just you'll know that's when to wish me happy birthday when you see it pop up.
That's through the magic of podcasting, right? Like for the listener, it's your birthday, so happy birthday.
Exactly. I'm one year closer to 40. And with us this time, for those that are watching on YouTube, we're actually seeing James on camera for the first time. So good job, James. But we've actually got someone from the Rules Committee, Ash. How are you going, Ash?
I'm good, thank you. Hope you're all okay.
Yeah, so he's not on to represent the Rules Committee. He's there because he's a lovely person. We've been talking to him. But if he wants to talk on the Rules Committee behalf, I wish him good luck. But he's more than welcome to just give the insights of somebody who is helping out with helping not design the rules, but also just kind of balance out the rules, which is basically what this podcast today is actually all going to be about. It's going to be about the Halo Flashpoint blog week that we just had in the last week. So I'll throw it to you, James. Did you read all the blogs? I'm assuming you did. If you didn't, this is going to be a very awkward conversation.
Well, prepare for awkwardness. No, I skimmed most of them. So after we got the preview, sort of a lot of it was stuff I'd already seen. So, but no, I skimmed through. I did enjoy them. I should say, just for the listeners' benefit, all of the information is on the screen over there. So when I'm staring off into the middle distance, it's not me ignoring you. It's not that I've forgotten I'm on camera. It's just where the notes and the blog posts are for me. But
if people watching this on YouTube are focused on our cameras that heavily, they're not listening to
you're looking at the wrong
so
thing.
It doesn't matter what you say. But ultimately, we will go through all the blog posts and actually just kind of break it down a little bit. But to throw it in, because the first blog post actually mentions Ash in it. Ash, how did you feel about the balance changes? I mean, I guess you're a little bit restricted because you're obviously got to be Indeed Aid. You're not allowed to say anything too much about any spoilers or anything coming up. But how much involvement do you guys actually have with this, specifically this balance patch? Do you just get given it and you just give them feedback, or is it actually you guys suggest what balances are happening and then it goes from there?
Basically, us and the Rules Committee will talk about pretty much everything and anything that's going on, and just hopefully make something that actually makes sense and not everyone dislikes.
That's the ultimate goal, isn't it? I mean, do you guys get, do you take on quite a lot of it? I mean, there's about three other or four, I don't know how many Halo Flashpoint podcasts now there are. There's Truth and Reconciliation, there's the Audible Drop. But I mean, do you guys listen to those quite regularly to get some ideas about what's working, what's not? Or is it really you try and stay away from more of the social media noise and just look at the raw stats and what you're getting from your own playthroughs and so forth?
I can't speak for the others, but I listen to it all pretty much. It's a good idea to see how the community's feeling and seeing what's working in different areas. Because something that works in the UK in tournaments isn't working in America.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Do you have an example of that yet, or something that stood out that you hadn't encountered in the UK space, but overseas it was like, oh, that's actually something we do need to address? I mean, obviously, I don't know if you can address it, but was there anything out there?
It's just how people have been building lists and what's working in different areas. And is it that they've slightly got a rule wrong, maybe, or is it just people are playing the game differently?
Yeah,
and not being able to get stuff easily, like playing, because for some reason there is a lot of people who cannot seem to get banish lists working. Yet chief lists with another per Spartan or 3-man teams of Spartans are working really well in certain areas. Just from listening to all of the podcasts.
Just for the listener, there was a hot debate about that right before we pushed record on this podcast, by the way. James and Ash were definitely talking about the 2-man groups, and I don't think we're going to get too into that too much. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a hot topic in the future. But
unique.
Yep, sorry,
it's very unique.
Unique. That's a very delicate way of doing it. Unique list, and it's definitely something that I think is worth talking about, because that's the fun of doing these kind of things, is talk about little things like that. But what we'll do, as the news segment, we will go through every blog post and we'll talk about them as we go along. So the first one we want to talk about is the balance week. So this is the one that came out on the 20th of October, 20th in the UK time zones. I mean, it comes at like 3 a.m. the next day for me most of the time. Because that's how it always is. It's around about 3 p.m. it normally drops UK time, so that's why at 3 a.m. my time, like daylight savings in the dark. It's confusing. Either way, that kind of goes through the balance changes, goes through some of the big things that we were talking about last week. Frag is obviously the big one everyone seems to be highlighting, and there's a lot of excitement. Shay from Forging Flashpoint was actually going to be on this discussion. Unfortunately, time zone didn't work that out, but that is actually a topic that that he noticed as well with the frag changes. We also go down to the item changes as well, and the new item intel, which some people may not be aware of if we're out of scope and just getting their ODSD box. That's the new item that is included there, and it instantly rewards you 1 victory point immediately. I think it's the same phrase there. 1 victory point to the team that finds it. Don't know how usable that would be, but I guess with the new map types, that could push the balance. But I think you guys would be able to actually tell me, is games normally decided by only by 1 victory point? The majority aren't, right? It's very rare.
Historically, no, because you've always scored in increments, so 1 would only really be a tiebreaker. I think for these new modes where you're kind of getting in a lot of them, you're getting an incremental 1 point for killing. It will certainly have an impact, but there are 20 points in the game.
Yeah.
I have the acrylic set, so this isn't in my set of 16 right now. This +1 VP one. I'm not sure if we're mandated to have it now. Anyway, one to figure out. But yeah, I think it's fine. You can get more VPs by picking up a different item if it falls right. So it is a bit of a lottery. It won't make it onto the board in many games. And it will, there'll be about a quarter of games it doesn't make it onto the board, and then there's every chance it's in a corner. You don't know where it is, so someone's going to get a win because of this randomly, and then their opponent will rage on the internet. But otherwise, I think it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I guess I'll throw it to you, Ash. Do you know if it's mandated to actually have that in your rotation now, in the item rotation?
You
can say you don't know. It's fine.
I don't know, but given the fact you take all the items anyway, it's probably a good idea to just take it. I mean, the extra VP, it adds something a little bit other than killing in the new game modes and going to pick stuff up.
Yeah, because if you go into a tournament, you don't have the ODSD box, you won't have the intel, so you don't get punished for that. So I wouldn't think you'd be required to have it, because otherwise you get into a really sketchy territory of, like, if you want to go to tournaments, you have to have the updated item list or item tokens in order to play, or you have to get given it at the event, and it sounds like it just is a messy kind of requirement.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we can move on. I don't think it's a big deal, but it's an odd one.
Yeah, fair enough. And then ultimately, all the changes are loaded on that day into the Halo index. For those that want that breakdown, you can actually just go to the Halo Flashpoint rules. And if you're looking through this, like, where is all the stuff being added? The easiest way to do is just go down to the etc. log, and that has the details of the 2025 October changes. I believe they're all in red there, so it's a nice, easy way of getting up to date of everything. There's a lot of nitty gritty there. We're not going to go this whole pod reading it all out. Otherwise, it's pretty much just going to be me talking the whole time, and no one wants to hear that. But ultimately, we'll chuck it to James and Ash there. Is there anything in there that changed from what you originally believed how it's going to work to how it's actually worded? Or is all of it pretty consistent to what was? I mean, Ash, you would be consistent because you're part of that circle, but more towards you, James, from your initial seeing of the rules to the final version.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is all good. I mean, the change to quantum translocator, I think, was reasonably late breaking. I think that's I think that's good. I don't know. It moves it away from being a grab scenario item to being just like a force multiplier in melee. It continues to be a force multiplier in melee because it works functionally the way you wanted it to in that. It will still have some value for objective play, but the sort of what's quite helpful in the new kind of flag maps is generally where you originate from. You're not often sprinting back down the line that you started on. So quite often teleporting back to where you came from before you grab something isn't where you want to be going anyway. So I think that will help with the translocator. Outside of like the first initial sprint in Illusion and Siege, you're generally better off. You're generally not, in my experience, retracing your steps. So I don't think it's as much of an issue. The active camo thing is pretty good. I think that particularly given there's mass active camo available in Illusion, I think this is a pretty good change. And quite effective. It still kind of pushes people away from non-frag weapons, which is probably not the direction you want to go in. But it certainly makes the game freshens things up, makes it more interesting.
And have you played much with the new rule set yet?
Yeah, had a good few games. I think we're going to get into the season 1 stuff, so I'll probably talk about the games I've played when we get to those. Fair. Yeah, I played with the new stuff. You were very kind and put my my painted ODSTs on screen in the earlier section of the video.
I'll put them on right now for any of them with a timestamp on.
I think I'm one of very few people who's got an ODST box at the moment. I think they're having some sort of shipping issues. Hopefully by the time you're seeing this, your copy has arrived. So I've got an interesting dilemma because I'm running a tournament in less than 2 weeks, and currently I'm the only person that has any ODSTs. So I think me and one of the attendees. So.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if people haven't got theirs. I think one of the biggest problems right now is the USA market with the restrictions to post. Now, from our understanding, they fixed all that with the warehouse situations setup that they've got now. So I don't think there should be too much, but there'll probably be a little bit of a backlog just to get everything out there. Probably.
Yeah, even in the UK, where internal posting seems to be, I don't think they've seen them start to go out yet. I've not seen many people kind of get theirs, so I don't know if they're a bit later. They did say October, it's still October. We'll see.
I'll get mine next year because I'm in New Zealand. Once the boat gets here, I'll finally get my ODSTs. Yeah, so much for them dropping in hot. And Ash, I might as well throw it over to you. I know we made a little joke earlier before we did the pod that there's only so much Ash could say without stepping on too many toes. But ultimately, is there anything about the update that you want to highlight from a rules committee kind of side of it? Was there anything that you think is going to affect the game, and you're personally interested to see how the community react to that particular rule change? Is there anything there?
I'm interested with the health pack item because as an auxiliary action, you can now use it to heal yourself in your turn instead of picking it up and waiting to be damaged. So if you've already taken damage, you've got to wait to be damaged again. And then the changes to frag are quite welcomed, I hope, because it doesn't mean it's an automatic pin. You've got to either get equal or higher of successes to be able to pin your opponent, which does mean elites and brutes have the chance of not being pinned, and elites will evade if they're not pinned and come closer to you or closer to the objective, which is a little worrying if you're playing against them.
It's quite a significant change. How was the discussions behind the scenes about that? Was that something that everyone was like on board? No one seemed to have too much issue. They knew a change had to happen, or was it one of those kind of? It was a bit of a debate, bit of toing and throwing.
I honestly can't remember that much about it. I know we discussed a lot.
I'd like to say that would probably be smooth sailing then. If it wasn't too much, if you don't remember it, it probably was a little bit of a everyone.
How do we change it without changing it too much?
Yeah. God. It's always interesting. You never know how these changes are really going to affect the community until they're out there in the wild. As a creator, Mantic building these rules, throwing out there, and just hoping it works. It's such a God, it would be an interesting position either way. But yeah, all the changes are there. So for anyone that wants to dive in deep, we'll put the links down below. Go nuts, and definitely leave your feedback in the comment section, either on Spotify or on YouTube. We've got a few comments from our last episode, and it's always good to get some of this feedback because everyone's got a different experience, everyone's got a different community. It's always good to know what's out there and how everyone's feeling. All right. Well, before we move on from the balance changes, is there anything in particular you guys want to highlight about the balance changes, or you feel like you pretty much said everything you want to say on it?
Well, I think we covered it pretty aggressively last time, right? I think we covered pretty much all of it in detail. I think, I'm having fun building lists with it. I think it's going to be very interesting. I mean, I think, what's quite interesting, that frag change, few stocks up on Chief there because that saved 3 actually in practice when you play against it. He does swerve his frag quite a bit more, and given he was immune to half of it anyway, that is another little boost in Chief's direction, which will probably be a bit of a theme as we go through. So, certainly interesting times. It's good to it's good to see these changes come in. It's all exciting and fresh and new to explore. So I'm really happy.
Yeah, that's what's hard to commentate on it, is that we haven't really had enough plays under our belt yet to really have an idea of how it's going to go. But we'll leave that there for now. Next bit we're going to go over to is the highlight on the ODSDs themselves. So if we go back over to this doesn't really work on audio. There we go. This is just highlighting the actual ODSTs themselves that are inside the box. It actually has a breakdown of the ODST lists. And again, if you want to see it yourselves, I'll put the link below, or you can see it on the screen, or check out the blog post yourselves. Quite interesting kind of makeup there. It also goes into Gunnery Sergeant Buck and Captain Dare. Now, Captain Dare is starting to, at least based off what I can see on social media, Captain Dare is starting to be a bit of a highlight there. A lot of people are really liking the makeup of Captain Dare. James, I'll throw it to you. Have you had any opportunity with your hot little hands with the box set? Have you had any Captain Dare experience yet? Because you've actually got the card as well.
Yeah, I played with and against Dare, so I don't know. We didn't talk about it last time. I think
no, we didn't.
It's on online now. So for 40 points plus a special order at 6 points, Dare brings 2 tactics dice as Tactician 2, and brings the special order that allows you to, after everyone's rerolled, you've seen what your opponent's got, you know what you've got, all your orders dice at the start of the turn. You can spend the special order. Even if she's not in play, to change 2 of your remaining dice to orders of your choice. That is incredibly powerful. It allows you to do things like guarantee the initiative for next turn by going, I'll have 2 helmets, or make sure you've got those kind of premium move and shoot dice where you need them. The downside of that is, although there is a, I'll take that again. So, what balances that out slightly is Dare herself is being 46 points does not have kind of an effective activation naked, as it were. You're going to need to tool her up with something in order for her activation to be effective. So at the moment, you're paying 46 points for a warm body, which is sprint 2, which is not fast enough to have it. So she can't have impact by running to places, and she has a range for gun that only has optics, so it's slightly better than a pistol, but not much better than a pistol. So she needs a weapon in order to be useful. So I think probably premium things like a concussion rifle, so she doesn't need to get into the action. Or potentially she's probably not the best choice for one of the more expensive optics choices, because she doesn't have scout. I don't call her having scout, and therefore she's best kept out of harm's way, and doesn't get kind of all of the bonuses you would get from a bigger optics weapon. So I think she's interesting. I think she is expensive. You're probably, to bring an effective Dare to the table, you're probably talking about over a quarter of your points available. So that needs to be really force multiplying whatever else is happening on your team, points wise. So very interesting. I'm not sure it. I'll be interested to see how it all stacks up.
Yeah, I've been seeing calls that there's 2 OP, but it's interesting to see the first female character being one of the best characters that have come out of the gate. I guess I could throw it up to Ash. What's your feeling on Buck and Dare?
I quite enjoy Dare. She brings a little bit of versatility to different styled Spartan lists, or even ODST lists. If you know you've got a hot drop in, you're going to try and get extra D8s to make sure that you're surviving, or extra special orders to full. Buck is actually very fun. He's got a free range stat, as you can see in the app, for ranged and fast transition. So loading him out with another gun is really good, because he's currently got a range 5 weapon and a range 3 weapon, which as soon as you're in close, they're brilliant. But you might want to have him something like a Covenant Carbine to give him that extra versatility of knocking people off objectives. But together, they work really well.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see a few lists using Buck, and I haven't seen many so far. I've only seen 1. So I'll be interested to see a few more lists with Buck in it. And it'll be really great if anyone's got a good list with Buck, because Buck is who I want to actually play. Once I get my set, I really want to build a list around Buck, but I'm not quite sure what's going to be the best way of doing that. Because I'm more leaning towards Dare rather than Buck, but I just want Nathan Fillion on the table. That's pretty much the only reason I really want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ash is right. Sort of premium optics one, because he respawns with the crouch, right? So being able to you give him a threat sensor and a kind of premium optics weapon, that's good. His range stat is 3, so he hits. Fundamentally, he's interesting, right? He's comparable with the Deadeye, right? So the DMR Deadeye is the same cost. They have the same shot. He will get the crouch on the respawn, but is obviously not as mobile or as survivable as the Deadeye. The challenge you've got, I mean, I do think we're overpricing fast transition in this game, right? So fast transition is a powerful ability, but it is predicated on the gun you have being really good. So, because with fast transition, you've also then got to pay for another good gun to fire. Those 2 shots are often not great. I mean, Buck has a range 3 Magnum, which is range 3 in optics, and he has the assault. It has it's like a range 5 assault rifle that's only weight of fire 1. It doesn't have rapid fire. So, neither of those guns I'm going out of my way to start with. You know what I mean? So then the fast transition is a little bit wasted on him. I think it's far better to make best use of sort of giving him another gun. But he's a costly choice. Is Buck, I think.
Yeah. Very interesting. I'll be interested also, because I think these sculpts are beautiful as well. I really hope they offer it separately outside the box, because I really want a lot more of these figures on the table, because at the moment I think you can only get them in the box. They say it's a limited edition sculpt. Whether it means limited edition in the box or whether they're going to offer it separately, who knows? But I'd say get your hands on it when you can.
Yeah, I think Clive has said. I never know when I chat to Clive, when I'm bothering Clive at events. I never know if the things he tells me I'm supposed to pass on. My understanding is that there is a different sculpt. So, as in the Atriox approach, when these will be boxed separately as a box, when you get the kind of separation wave or that kind of second, we're going to put everything that's in that box out as individual components. They're a different sculpt. The 2 that you get in the box are they're kind of resin, the same as Phoenix. So they are sort of that nicer, more premium resin. The 2 that are in the box. I don't know what the 2 that are in the kind of the separate pack will be.
Yeah, so it'd be like very similar to Aatrox. They had two different skulls, but Master Chief didn't. So that's why it makes me a little bit like, are they going to do it that way? But if they did it with Aatrox, it makes sense to do it with this. So I would say if you're interested more of the aesthetic of how they look at the moment, I'd say make sure you pick yourself up a box. Or if you just want the model, as in just having an official Mantic model to play them on the table, then just I guess wait for the smaller box to come along. Yeah. That's pretty much all from the actual ODSTs, and we're hoping to more people to get them in their hands, and we'll see more of that. We'll jump along to which bit do we want to do next? We want to do the Husky Raid Season 1 organized play. So all these are the essentially, I want to say, new scenarios. These are going to be the scenario for Season 1 for OP play, as people call it. So we've got a breakdown of Illusion, we've got a breakdown of Husky Oddball, and Husky Siege, which is the one that we have a preview last episode about. And they did fix up the number conventions right in the middle, because it did seem there was a little bit of a typo there. So it's good to see that we're on the right track of how we interpreted that there. So I'll chuck it over to you, Ash, this time. Do you have a particular map or change or something with the Season 1 play that kind of stands out and you're interested in?
I like Illusion. It's a little bit different, just on the fact that it blends stealing flags with active camouflage. But you have to go in the center of the map for this to work when you're lower down, because you've got areas around you that are risen, which means people with threat sensors who are going to get up high and wait could be an issue. But is it worth the risk, having minus dice shoot at you? And it's something that's not really been seen in regards to you have a clear line to someone else's flag.
Yeah,
so someone is sitting on the flag to try and defend, you've got a very clear shot at them. In regards to being able to see them, they are going to be up higher, so they're not going to have a clear shot. But you know where they are. They can't defend themselves entirely. And they can be fragged off.
Yeah, that's very true. The frag is definitely gonna play a part in that. I'll chuck it over to you, James. Anything that jumps out on you? I mean, we did talk about some last week, but now you can talk about everything with everyone's eyes on it.
So I played this a few times. I think what is good, I mean, it is nice for melee models like Chief, because you're sort of the kind of that corridor to run from one flag to the other means that sort of Chief doesn't have to split his time. Like a melee model can kind of run through and murder people as they're getting to the flag, kind of back and forward. So I think it creates that kind of combat down the central belt. The spawns on the right are really interesting. So on the right, as you look at this is where I was talking about with the translocator change, because in this case you've got to, the closest respawn you can take to your opponent's flag is this kind of rightward one. You diagonally run through the weapon patch. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away each time. You can go either side of the L-shaped terrain, but you wind up the L-shaped wall terrain piece. But it's 5 cubes to there. But then translocator doesn't get you anywhere because it doesn't get you back closer to your flag point, to where you're scoring. So because it's sort of that run is triangular. So it does mean that like the quantum translocator is a lot less useful in this. The zone in the middle, there is a zone in the middle which is going to be my favorite, least favorite. Hang on a minute, how does this work? Rules thing. If you begin your activation or move into it, you gain active camo. You lose active camo if you sprint, shoot, or fight, though. So there is a little bit of kind of what are we doing? There's a little bit of kind of when do you lose it. So if you sprint in, my understanding is you get it, but then you instantly lose it again. There's questions about if you move in and move out again, do you reacquire? My understanding is you do, but it's very. The rules are a little bit imprecise on that one, but it's a very interesting game mode. I think it does favour kind of. It does favour kind of speed and kind of melee choices to be able to kind of really just get into that zone are quite interesting because it's easier to kind of it's harder to snapshot people who are active camoed. So you're going to have this. you're going to have this kind of this ability to kind of run around and kind of utilize the inside as kind of a melee death pit. So it's going to be quite interesting.
And to put you on the spot there, Ash, do you have any input into some of the concerns James said about that?
I think it's just going to be someone plays it, someone asks the rules committee, and because everyone gets a little bit of confusion in game modes anyway. But basically, you can start your model activation in there, or you move into it. You have the active camouflage keyword, unless you sprint, shoot, or assault an enemy model. So the way around it would be try and do all your shooting first, or you sprint into it to get the active camouflage, and then move slowly through it. What is really interesting about the map as well in general, I personally split the whole team up. I do not keep anyone close together and just run in different directions, because you're not going to be able to deal with everyone. And if you can hot drop someone in, that's going to be absolutely great in this game mode, because you're going to have less movement to be an issue for them, because they're not going to have to necessarily respawn 5 cubes away. It could be 1 cube away.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting.
How are you finding hot drop? It's not. I've not had much luck with it so far. How are you finding it, Nash?
Well, so with dare and stuff, basically, I will change my orders if I've got some special orders. I change them to D8s and use that to be a bit better off with. And then hot drop is 50-50 if it goes well for me, but I enjoy it as a mechanic. It's something different from Spartans and Elites and Brutes.
Yeah. Cool.
Interesting. Well, I guess it's worth noting as well that this, from our understanding, this is beginning the start of November in terms of the season 1 officially starts the beginning of November. So it's going to be interesting to see this being played in organized play a little bit more. And we're actually going to get some on the field kind of stories out of how these maps are going to go down. I understand there are some people already playing with season 1. From our understanding, it starts at the beginning of November. But yeah, it's clearly saying here, look ahead to November's release of Organized Play Season 1. But there is no specific date. I'm just assuming it's the beginning of November. Is that a right assumption, you two? What's your input there?
I mean, I have a tournament I'm running on the 9th of November, and we'll be playing this deck. Until then, I ain't got any tournaments. So I'm not like, you can't give people new rules and expect them not to play with them, right? Like if I was going to a tournament this weekend, I would be pushing pretty hard for the TO to use the new rules pack. I think in the UK that isn't an option. I don't think we've got anything happening in this country until the one in Leeds on the 9th. We're up to 8. We're up over 8 players now, so we're going ahead. We're going to have the new pack. So if by the time you hear this, there will, it's unlikely.
They would. I just remember when it releases on my birthday. So yeah, they would definitely be in November when this comes out.
So yeah, go to the event, right? If you're in, if you can get to Leeds on Sunday the 9th, please come to the event. Otherwise, I think just go to your local event. It'll be fun, whatever you're playing. I don't think it matters too much if it's season 1 or season 2. I don't want to get too. I think people can get too prescriptive about this. Go and have fun.
I think some people just get confused with the rules. If the new changes of the rules apply yet, or is it after season 1 that the rules, the balance changes apply? And I think that's where it gets messy. But we're hoping, that there'll be a non-issue in a few days anyway. Because we should say we are recording this late November. Oh no, sorry, October. Sorry, we're recording this late October. That's it. So all that would be a non-issue there. Let Ash put it. Do you know exactly if there's an official start date for season 1, or is it just November, the start of November?
I believe it's just start of November.
Start of November. Okay. All right. We'll lock that in. And if it's wrong, we know who to blame. We'll blame Ash. We'll move over to the Organized Play Season 0 recap. So this is actually just a bit of a breakdown, a really cool insight of how well essentially last year has gone with Halo Flashpoint. It mentions over 20,000 registered users on the the app or on the companion, depending on how you want to word it, which is really great to see. Such high numbers of sign-ups, and this is just people signing up. Doesn't necessarily mean that's 20,000 in total of people that have picked up Halo Flashpoint. So it's really good to see some really good numbers pointing out there. What was a little bit more interesting is seeing the balance in terms of what models were taken on lists. So we had number one was the Spartan Deadeye with a DMR. That's 65% of all lists had that contained within it, which over half of the list had a Deadeye, which should make sense. Deadeye is definitely out there. I was surprised what came in second place because I thought it would be first place. That's the Spartan MK7 with the MA40. That was at 53%, so just over half the list. I expected that to actually be number one rather than the Deadeye, but there you go. What do I know? The next one that actually a little bit surprised me because it wasn't actually with the initial release is the Spartan Gunner, which has the grenade launcher, the M319 grenade launcher. That's about 51% of all the list. So considering when that was actually released in the cycle, actually quite surprising that so many of those were on the actual list. And the last one is the Spartan Brawler with the Bulldog, and that was actually on a quarter of the list, so 25%. Now, before we go any further, I'll chuck it to Ash and James. Did any of that surprise you? Or I mean, I wouldn't be surprised of the Deadeye and the MK7 being there, but were you surprised of where they kind of placed?
I mean, I think these are reasonable once you consider that it's all players at all events, right? I think if you were to sort of adjust and say what would be really interesting to put next to it is the stats for podiuming, lists that make the podium. I think at that point the Deadeye falls away quite a bit. I think so you probably see the Deadeye fall away and the JFO poking at the bottom of the list, but it's not, and probably the Hazop start to appear above the Brawler as well. Sort of certainly the kind of the textbook for for Spartans with of the last season with the Mark 7 with the MA40, the Gungnir with the grenade launcher, the JFO with the concussion, and the Hazop, usually with a spike rifle. So those are kind of the four that were kind of making the running inside kind of UNSC. Notwithstanding, I kind of treat Master Chief as a slightly different archetype. Like if but even then, we would have seen a lot of Gungnirs in there. So I think this is a good list, but it's a list based on everybody playing, not looking at kind of what was doing well. So I think that does sort of modify the results a bit.
We'll check it to you, Ash. How's your feeling on those stats? Not surprising. I mean, you've got more of a rules head on you. Does this all make sense?
I think it makes sense with the Deadeye being top. Like it is a very good model. And with fast transition and the access to loads of different weapons, because sticking frag weapons with it would allow you to pin someone very quick and then finish them off. Or sticking like a Covenant Carbine on and knocking people off objectives, getting the optics keyword was very useful. I'm surprised that the Brawler is poking forth instead of a Hazop or JFO, but it does take into consideration everyone's models. And bearing in mind, 3 of them come in the starter box of the Recon or the Spartan edition that everyone has access to. So it kind of makes sense if they didn't branch out and buy war games instantly and they were playing with these models a lot more. It looks good. Obviously, different people have different ideas of how to run their lists, which is nice, and it's not constantly all the same.
I was surprised at the drop off. You got the Deadeye at 65%. You got the Mark 7 at 53%. Got the Gunner at 51%, and then all of a sudden the Brawler's at 25%. So it goes from 51% to 25%. So it's a huge drop off of the fourth place one. I just find I'm a stats person. It's what I do in real life, so I just find numbers quite fascinating with it. But we'll leave that there. We'll dive into the Banished side of it, which is a little bit more understandable considering the range that had been available during season 0. We've got the Sangheili Mercenary, the Energy Sword. That's 74% of all lists, which is quite high. This means 3/4 of all lists had the sword on it. We've got the Sangheili Mercenary with the Needle. That's at 43%. We've got the Sangheili with the Pulse Carbine. That's at 35%. And funny enough, Sangheili drop off and got Atriox right at the end at 26%. So at least a quarter of all lists had Atriox on it, which is surprising considering when it was released, because it was only, 3 months before the end of the season that the Brutes were actually put out. So the fact that they had so many on it that quickly is quite surprising. And anything you guys want to input on that particular result?
For me, I am very surprised that the other Sangheili Mercenary didn't make it in with a pulse rifle above a pulse carbine. Now, that could be the fact I play very differently, and continuous fire isn't really that much of a negative when you look at elite stats or saving on 4s. And you've got to only save 2 to not get injured. And if you do get injured, usually you've got reinforcements incoming, so it's actually a bonus and you can go back in another place and come back on. But seeing Atriox is actually quite nice because they did only have about 3 months or so in Season 0, and he's managed to be a fan favourite very quickly. But he's a very unique style of play as well. And a little bit...
And the model looks cool, though.
But once he's in the middle of the board, you have issues if you can't shift him.
Yeah. It's quite interesting. It also highlights that it's not always the most popular that's the best list to have, which is often the case in here. It just shows you how much the list building is an art form in itself. It's not always about just picking the most popular. It's actually just knowing the rules, knowing how that's played, and just picking it towards what suits you rather than what suits the game. Well, you know what I mean. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, we'll move on to items. So number 1 is James' favorite, the grapple shot. That's at 56%, which is, to be honest, completely understandable. Next up there is the translocator.
Means 40. It just means 44% of players are wrong, right? That's
of course, of course, yes. I mean, grapple shot. If you don't take a grapple shot with you, don't know what you're doing. We've got thruster at 21, surprising. We've got threat sensor at 20% and health pack at 19, which I've got a feeling health pack might go up a little bit with the changes as well. Well, before we go into the weapons last of it, anything there that you guys want to mention? No.
I mean, just the grapple shot. I mean, what's more worrying is some of those 56% of players probably didn't bring 2 grapple shots. But so grapple shots are essential to playing this game. They're the first 2 things in the list, along with whatever your special order is going to be, and that will remain so this season. The rest. Stocks up on thrusters after the change. Stocks probably a bit down on quantum translocators. Threat sensors will remain useful. I don't know about health packs. I still think surviving in this game is a weird concept for a lot. Unless you're kind of one of the big dogs. Unless you're an Atriox or even Chief doesn't mind being killed, and it's very difficult to kill already. So I think those will move through. But I think you'll still see some combination of these because they've not made many of these better or worse, right? A lot of these are about as good as they always were. They're just differently costed. So I think you'll still see a lot of those showing up.
What's your thoughts on that, Ash? You can say no thoughts.
Probably agreeing with James. Grapple shots are still going to appear, and a few of the others. But we'll probably see a little bit more things just in regards to the points changes, like explosive ammo and people just grabbing that extra overshield or a drop wall. But I reckon grapple shot will still be the highest taken thing.
Yeah. I agree with that. It's not going to away anytime soon. We'll dive into weapons though, because this one surprised me a little bit, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, but the M6 Spartan Laser being the top 22% of all lists, followed by the Gravity Hammer at 15% of lists, Energy Sword at 9% of lists, Fuel Gun at 8% of lists, and Covenant Carbine at 8% of lists. Considering how low those percentages are, when we're looking at 8% Covenant Carbine, I've got a feeling it's most of the other weapons are probably around that amount as well. So it's not too shocking. But the only thing I don't think highly of the Spartan Laser. I'll throw it to the experts here because I just look at that and I'm like, I don't don't get it. But all right, you guys take it away on that one.
I mean, I'm still annoyed because I missed a 9 dice Spartan laser shot last night with 0 successes. So I'm still I am still smarting from that that which cost me a game last night. No, I mean Spartan laser. I mean, look, if you want to run around with the most killy gun in the game, that is the Spartan laser, right? Like Gungnir with a Spartan laser is a genuine threat to other models. Whether it's a genuine threat that I don't know. I think I think that's probably it's 1 in 5 lists. Those lists weren't troubling the top tables. It's a good gun. You might see, even though it's gone up in points, you might see it slightly more as a way of combating Chief, but such an expensive and difficult to wield weapon. I still think you're probably best leaving them at home. I think you get a lot more work out of the Covenant Carbine at 8%, I think, than you do out of a Spartan laser a lot of the time. But time will tell.
Well, how do you feel about that, Ash?
I'm surprised like the Furor gun or like isn't higher, or the MA40 didn't make it in the top 5. But
I'm assuming this excludes ones that start on models, right? These are the ones that are chosen.
Yeah, these are chosen.
Yeah, these are chosen ones that you're actually equipping.
The Gravity Hammer, I would have expected to probably be top of the list, just in the fact of you can put it on a brawler, or usually a Mark 7.
Yep.
And it went to town and did a lot of damage in a lot of tournaments. But it's also interesting that these, until you really get to the Gravity Hammer at 15%, that would suggest that a lot of different weapons are taken, because we're only at 8% at the bottom of it. And it's nice to know that everyone's got a bit of versatility in what weapons they're choosing instead of everyone choosing the same thing.
There's a good number you'll never see. There'll be a good number. There'll be a lot of zeros, right? I don't think many people were putting a focus rifle on anybody, right? Like, I think there'll be a large number. I reckon that you'd be probably 40% of the weapons at least that nobody took at all. But yeah, there will also be a lot of variation. Like, there's no battle rifle on here. There's no. There's no battle rifle here. There's no
shotguns.
No concussion rifle. Yeah, shotguns on Deadeyes. Considering how high the Deadeye is on the list, to have no shotguns is weird. There you go.
Yeah, I'll release the full stats. I'm just curious about it. I just want to see what's at the bottom, because sometimes that's actually a lot more interesting than what's at the top. Is what is the least picked one. So yeah. I'm throwing it out to Clive and Mantic out there. Release the full stats. I'll be curious on it. But leaving the stats alone for now, they do talk about a special prize, and the prize for the number 1 player is actually to have a Spartan model sculpted with your face on it. And it looks like at the moment Chris Fox is number 1 there. I think James and Ash both have played against Chris at tournaments, followed by Dylan Stone Hayden, which coincidentally are on the rules committee, and then followed by James. James is there, and then followed by Paul Butler. So it's still, as of recording this, it's still the end of October. We'll know the final winner probably next time we record an episode. But it's quite cool that is the number 1. Well, that is the prize, but it doesn't mention if that's per region or for overall. It just says a special prize for the winner, so I'm assuming it's just one prize for the number 1 player in the world, from my interpretation.
I'm not clear. I mean, I don't think these results will change. I think it's not too soon to congratulate Chris on winning the season. I think I don't think it's too soon for that at all. I think, but otherwise, yeah, it's a good. He's had a good run through the field, certainly the latter half of the year, of the season, as it were, and they continue to be a threat. And then we've got, I think names people on the UK circuit would expect to see here. UK being a more contained scene, we've got more sort of ins than most of the Americans, so more opportunities to play. So not surprised, but I suspect in future seasons we'll see America start to rise up these ranks and see a few more familiar names on there.
Yeah, I hope so. And by the way, the comment about Dylan Hayden, I'm just trying to start a feud, by the way. I don't actually think that there's some secret manipulation of the rules to get on the charts. I mean, I think it's very healthy for people that help balance the rules to also be playing actively in the games and in the tournaments as well. I think it definitely helps towards building a better game overall. I'm assuming that's the mentality there, Ash. Well, what's your feelings on the table, and really like, I guess, what's your I don't know if you can give any insight, but what's your feelings about how season 0 went overall?
It was definitely interesting. I've mostly done Banish throughout, and I am in the top 10, which is surprising. But Brad Parsons, who is in America, and someone called David have recently knocked me off of where I was and put me down to 9th or 8th, which I'm like, please don't go to another tournament and knock me off the top 10 in 3 days. I'd like to stay up there. But it's been Spartan heavy, which is fine. Like, Spartans have had their points adjustment in everything, so hopefully it won't be as Spartan heavy this time around. But overall, every event I've gone to has been really enjoyable. I've made friends in the community and everything, and I'm sure a lot of us have done that as well. And what is interesting, no one has taken the same list twice to any of these tournaments in the UK. They've all done a different list and played differently. Every time me and James have faced each other, it's a slightly different list, and the tactics that we used previously aren't always going to work. And it got to the point I won 2 games against James, and then the next time, James absolutely floored me, and I think I scored 4 points, and that was it.
Yeah, the evolution is quite interesting. What's your summary of season 0 there, James?
It's good to see it evolve, right? We've seen things evolve. It's taking shape. It's good to build as kind of as season 0, an introductory season. It'll be interesting to see the next season, which kicks off, in a week on Sunday. There's plenty of tournaments lined up in the UK as we go into that kind of season. I'm sort of, I think we're continuing to see the game evolve. I think there's some good evolution for this season. There's more to do. I think, we've talked in previous episodes about sort of some of the evolution I'd like to see, some of the things that, I think we're still missing around scoring. But Mantic are alive to this stuff. What's really good is, you're seeing Mantic, thinking about things, considering things, and sort of changing the game. So, iteration is key. It isn't perfect now. It'll never be perfect. We will continue to evolve, as a senior community, but it's been great fun, and I can't wait for season 1.
Any I'll throw it out to either one of you. Any predictions for season 1? Anything you would like to see, or anything you think will happen? Any crystal balling staring? Anything? Well, that's awkward.
I was just leaving a gap for Ash to come in, but no. I mean, if that's fine. So, I mean, for me, what am I thinking? What am I thinking for season 1? I think all of these changes there'll be an interesting juxtaposition between the changes pushing, the new scenarios pushing more damage, sort of more points for killing and more points for so they're those are pushing more points for killing, more points for and sort of more scenarios that value kind of running around and being narrow, juxtaposing that with a load of short moving fragile models turning up in the ODSTs. So I think seeing how that resolves, I think a lot of these changes subtly improve Master Chief. So although he's gone up in points, like he benefits from doing a bit more killing than the average model. He's good at narrow and running around. There are less sort of focal points on the maps in this version of the game than there were in the old ones, which allows him to leverage his ability to bring so many points to bear in a small area. So I think that it'll be interesting to see how that evolves. And then I'm interested to see if the Banish can start to make more of an impact with these changes on. So those are the things I'm interested to watch out for and see how they evolve.
I'll throw it to you now, Ash. Anything you're expecting in season 1 or looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to list building being a bit more versatile and different. just in terms of the Spartans are going to be a bit different on what you're going to take just to the point changes. But hopefully Banish will be seen a little bit more as a competitive chance. But I reckon Chief is still going to run Riot no matter what, but he does require quite a level of skill to be able to pull off quite effectively.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a bit of a topic coming forward. I've been hearing a lot of more Chief talk, even out of you two, just before we push play. There was a lot of Chief talking. So it's going to be interesting to see how that's actually going to be showing up on this. Well, we'll leave it there. So if you have any questions about everything we've talked about, make sure you pop it on the Spotify. Leave a comment down below. We're actually going to go through a few comments that we have gotten since the last recording. And the first one we actually got from our Discord. Jacob P said, "Do you think that the ODST models release will be hurt by the fact that so many organized play missions now reward victory points for kills?" And Jake C actually adds in there, not if you're getting kills with bullfrogs, they get 2 per kill, which everyone has to be reminded of. The bullfrogs get 2 per kill. So I guess I'll throw it to you, James. Do you think that will be hurt by so many of those missions requiring kills?
I wonder if it's a coincidence that one of the first 2 models I painted from the ODST box is a bullfrog. No, so I mean, I think I've sort of just kind of preambly answered that. Yes, I think what is a disadvantage is if you are incredibly easy to kill and the game awards you points for being killed. I think where you can mitigate that through bullfrogs, I would be surprised to see, looking at this packet, a pure ODST list being very competitive. There is too much requirement to get from A to B for a move 1 sprint 2 model to be having a large impact. I still think you'll see them. I mean, I'm list building at the moment. Messing around with some lists. Fairly common for ODSTs to be in my UNSC list. I think it's just a case of in what balance with Spartans, and what is the approach there if you want to go there. I think pure ODST, I do think they will suffer from that, because I do think it's very difficult for them to kill at the same rate that someone will kill them. Even though they are quite, relatively speaking, stabby.
Ash, do you have any feelings on that?
I think it's going to be interesting because everyone's got a different style of play. But if you can even point trade up, like a bullfrog is ridiculously cheap. They are about 26, 29 points. So if you start killing a 50-point model and getting them off the board after they've activated, they're going to be quite useful.
Yeah.
Even if you are just trading that 1 kill point each time, you're stopping your opponent. But the lower health, lower armor, no energy shields might be a bit hard for people to get a hang of to begin with. I reckon as Season 1 progresses, you might see a few more of them making it in, probably in a combined list with Spartans, not alone. But I could be wrong. People might just go absolutely haywire and field like 6 or 7 ODSTs that people may not be able to deal with in 1 round.
Yeah, we won't know until we're deep into season 1 to actually know whether that's actually going to be the way things are going to play out. Actually, we'll add on to the victory point conversation with Jacob P. Asked another question. Okay, do you think it would make more sense for a victory point system similar to Dead Zone, where certain models are worth more or less to make it way to Flashpoint? Now, I had to look into this a bit more. So basically, certain models are worth more by taking them out. And that's basically a hypothetical would be like a brute is worth 2 and a Spartan's worth 1 point to take out. So basically they're asking whether do you think a system will be implemented, or do you think that will just make things too difficult, or just kind of essentially break the game introducing a rule like that? We'll start with you, Ash, this time.
Generally wouldn't know. Like, it would require a lot of testing to see if this works or not. For Halo, because Halo's its own thing. It's used a Dead Zone mechanic, and then it's evolving in its own little light.
Pocket, yeah.
Yeah, but I generally wouldn't know.
Do you have much Dead Zone experience?
I've been looking at it. I've been going through the app, list building with Dead Zone and some other Mantic games, and having a mess around at what looks fun. to play, but I'd have to actually play quite a few games to understand it first.
Yeah, fair enough. Sorry to jump in there, James, because I know you haven't played it, but I didn't know if Ash had.
Yeah, I don't think Dead Zone. I mean, it will be when we get back to while I'm complaining. It will be one of my complaints. is sort of we are too far into this game now to be going back to Dead Zone every time with someone. So, but it is, I've made no secret of the fact. I think the weakest part of this game is the scoring system. I think we've talked about that at length on this podcast and recently. If we get to a position where, yes, I mean, I do think like the work involved in killing. Do I think the work involved in killing a tooled up Master Chief is significantly more than the work involved in killing, an ODST special purpose trooper with his 1 wound and 3 health? Yes, that is very significant. Should that be reflected in the point system? On some level, probably. It's not the first place I would go with the sort of the overall points and scoring system, but it is, I think it is. It's in the ball. This is in the ballpark of where I think the biggest challenges for this game are right now. In terms of now, whether this is the answer, I don't know. That's for smarter people than me to figure out.
Yeah, it's for Ash to be given it, and then we can blame him if it goes wrong. And the next comment actually on YouTube is Link Shade 11 said, "We have a tournament Saturday. I think we are the first." Now, I did ask what the name of the event was, and Link never replied, but I decided to put this comment on there just in case they want to claim the first blood of the new season 1. So, but if they did it on Saturday, it would have been still in season 0. So just so you know, Link, you don't actually get first blood now that I'm thinking about this comment.
I mean, it depends which Saturday, but assuming this was left on a previous video.
We'll say 7 days ago, and I took this right now. So Saturday should have already passed on theory.
In which case, not season 1. But, if they played with the new pack, fantastic. Well done. I'm glad, hopefully it was fun and you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And if someone's running, I think when we talked about the first one, we did caveat to, this is the first one in the UK, which is where I'm based. Someone is running one this weekend. Please do in the UK. Please do let me know. You will be seeing this after that has passed, so don't let me know. Use a time machine. I don't know. But more power to you. I think it's great just seeing more people playing more Halo.
Yeah, and definitely reach out to us if you have a tournament you want us to yell out, or even just show maybe on the YouTube of your photos from the event. Just reach out, because we want to spread this kind of like community feel that we all kind of. I mean, all us podcasters, we talk to each other, and as I said before, we meant to have Shay from Forging Flashpoint on today. I mean, we all want to push this game out there a bit more and celebrate events. So if you've got any events you want us to celebrate or shout out, just reach out, because we're more than happy to do it. All right, so the next question though is going to be for both of you. It's going to be a yay or nay. So we'll start with Ash then. Let me see. If you combine the shotgun with the special order, it could work out well. Now that they're referring to the ODST special hot drop order. So yay or nay, do you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be absolutely brilliant. Just blazing straight into hell feet first with a shotgun.
Yeah, definitely. James?
I would say nay, because I think it's better with a flamethrower.
Everything's better with a flamethrower.
Everything's better with a flamethrower. I think it's I think it's an interesting. I think there's so much room to explore now, right? And I'm giving my takes, having played a handful of games and playing a handful of models. There's tons of room to explore. So my best advice is go out there and explore the game.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we're going to go into the most controversial comment of this particular thing, which is Orpheus Telios. I don't know if I pronounced your name right, probably not, but they said, I think they have slightly overcooked the nerf on the quantum translocator. I do agree it needed a nerf, but to bring it down to 2 cubes is a bit drastic. I feel, in my opinion, 3 cubes would have been better to cut off, as this is equal to a sprint. This means grapple shots, command dice advance can still put you out of range of the QT, still lowers the chance of round 1 objective scoring. So any feelings about that?
Time will tell. I think I would rather you weren't quantum translocating with objectives. Would probably be the easiest solve for it, but and then make things a little bit easier. I think once you're limiting the range, because bear in mind where this was broken, you were translocating something like a spring, something like 5 or 6 cubes, right? So once you've kind of accepted there is a range limit, I think the impact is broadly the same in a lot of cases. I mean, 2 is a reasonable number. Most of the use of translocator outside of like games of capture the flag have been you drop the quantum, you assault into a cube, you bounce back out of the cube, you use an orders dice or a grapple to go back in to reassault the same cube or to sort of different cube. It's sort of I don't know if it is. I mean, I don't know if it is overcooked. Difficult. We won't know. I can see how you get to that conclusion. I think it's too soon to talk about whether it's too much or too little.
So James took a firm stance and said maybe. Ash, what do you feel about it?
It's not as bad as it sounds. Like you've got to be within 2 cubes of the quantum translocator token. So technically, that's because of how range works. You place it in 1 cube, and then you've got 2 cubes to get back to before you can ping back. So it's not that far away. It also is stopping and lowering the chance of turning in like capture the flag mode, scoring turn 1, because that was an issue. Yeah. You could score turn 1 twice very, very quickly with scout, grapple shots, and quantum translocators and movement dice.
Yeah, it would get a bit messy, wouldn't it?
I mean,
well, it did. That was the only way to win capture the flag. If you were going to a tournament with capture the flag, you had to bring a model with scout, the translocator, and a grapple.
Yeah,
right? That was, otherwise you were 6 points down in the first activation of round 1, and it was all downhill from there, right?
Imagine being a novice going to a tournament, and then that's the first play. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah, I've done that to people on 2 separate occasions.
Bully!
It's unpleasant, but like the problem with capture the flag here is like it's. This is always this unpleasant, right? It's like my oft-spoken anecdote about like having to play. The problem with playing like a 14-year-old is you have no idea if this is a babe in the woods or a savant, and there's no way of finding out until they're starting to beat you. It's very difficult, right? Like capture the flag is so it's good it's not in this rotation. It's so brittle on. You need to maximize your score, so you have to get those flags, and you can't give your opponent the kind of you can't leave 6 points on the board in the first activation. But I'm glad that has gone. I am very glad that has gone and is now. I mean, and having played, I was playing some Illusion, the game I alluded to earlier with the Spartan laser fail. I was playing some Illusion the other night. That is much more balanced, and the kill scoring stops it stalling out as much because sort of this kills ticking up. So I'm not weeping for quantum translocators. Either they're still in every list or they're not in every list. I don't know where we're going with that, but I'm interested to find out.
Yeah. They're essentially now more useful instead of you have to take with a grapple shot. And to be honest, it was probably one of the most pain in the butt things if you're not a Spartan player to deal with, because there's nothing you could do to stop a quantum translocator. It goes off, they go first, you can't stop it. And it was quite useful even in oddball.
Yeah.
Because you just go get the oddball, ping straight back to where you started. And have active camouflage, and then you've got a massive issue of what you can't deal with. But I'd like to know what everyone thought like quantum translocator could have been nerfed to instead of maybe just 3. What other ideas did they have? Because it's quite a good idea just that we communicate and see where everyone's thoughts are, and to come back to it probably in a few months and see if the nerf has worked for it or anything else they'd suggest.
Yeah, it's definitely time. We just needed enough time, enough examples locked in, and I'm really going to dive into some of the companions. Hopefully they put a little more of the live stats of tournaments and so forth, and I'm going to really follow them because I really want to dig into seeing these lists kind of change over time, and I really want to start scaling it. So, of watching it scale. So yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting, and I really can't wait for this season. I think season 1's going to be a very interesting one. But we're actually going to leave things there, and I'll actually leave it on a bit of a discussion point as well. One thing that we did notice, I particularly noticed, is at the end of the Halo week, which actually coincided with the announcement of a new Halo game as well, Campaign Evolved. I don't know if people saw that out there. It's another remake of the original Halo campaign and the Unreal 5 engine, but they're also going to develop new missions for it that take place before the existing missions. So we could actually see a tie-in later next year of the Halo Flashpoint and the new campaign Evolve. But I noticed a very lack of announcements to what's next. We all know what's happening right now. We've got the ODSTs. Normally when they drop the most recent wave, you could say, I don't know if we're still referring to them as waves, but with the most recent release, we typically get a hint towards what's next. We have heard a few interviews of what's coming, but nothing's actually concrete. How do you guys feel about it? Do you think it's surprising they didn't announce anything, or you kind of just expected them not to really announce anything until a certain time?
Go on, Ash.
I think we're just going to have to wait a little bit. It's kind of like they've teased it. We know
they've teased a lot. Yeah,
they've teased a lot. We can enjoy the ODSTs right now, and then when the new information comes, we can enjoy that. Let's just enjoy what ODSTs are, get to learn them properly. But I reckon we'll probably hear something relatively soon. I've got no idea, in all fairness, but I'm just hoping.
You sure? You're on the rules committee. You must know something.
I know no dates.
You know no dates.
I mean,
no legal dates.
I mean, we've been teased. I think we've speculated before, right? They've teased Noble. They've talked about this grunts and jackals and Marines thing. I mean, realistically, they're currently in the process of kicking Epic Warpath and Kings of War 4 out of the building. There's not a lot of year left, so nothing. We're not getting any more product this year. Or otherwise it would have been announced. I think we're talking about mid to late quarter 1 would be an ideal time. They'll have got War. Epic Warpath will be done with for a bit. They'll have got Kings of War 4 will be in the hands of all those lovely people that play Kings of War and that are excited on the rest of this podcast. And then, I would expect we'll see something. I think we'll see something in quarter 1. So we've got the ODSTs to explore. We've got a brand new rules pack. We've got embarrassment of riches for this game right now. But it'd be nice to know what's coming. But we do kind of know what's coming. We just don't know what dates, right?
Because I was so surprised they didn't announce something to be released around December, around Christmas time, just to jump onto that holiday buzz, But I completely understand also they got quite a lot out there already. Yeah, they got Kings of War. Mantic is not a huge company, so they can't just keep working full steam ahead 100% of the time. Otherwise, they're going to burn out and produce a terrible product, because that's the nature of things if you go too hard. So surprised, and I'm exactly the same thought. I thought they were going to at least put an article out of something to kind of tease towards what was going to come up. Because I thought, a week of blogging, a week of Halo, I thought, they started well on Monday, Tuesday, released it, and then we came to the Friday. I even saw some comments on Facebook going, "Is anything going to be said, or anything going to be dropped?" And there wasn't. So surprised, but I'm still satisfied. I guess I just want all the information now, because I'm just that kind of person. So cool.
We love the game. We want to play more of the game.
Exactly. Give us more of the game, Mantic. Give us more. We want everything. Just tell us all the spoilers. We promise to only tell each other, and then not tell anyone, not tell the public. But I'm really excited for the next year. I think it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how the game evolves, and also the Mantic's hinting towards a bigger form of Halo Flashpoint, and more of the firefight. If you follow firefight, not firefight Halo, firefight Mantic, just a bigger, wider scale of Halo. So it's going to be very interesting over the next year. But I guess any final words or thoughts before we wrap things up? I think I've been talking enough for today.
Just have fun, play the game, and hopefully I'll see it in an event soon. I don't think there's anything else I wanted to sort of say on the cover. I think we're in a good spot.
Let's do some nice shout outs about events coming. So we've got James's, that is the 9th of November.
Okay, I can tell you my birthdays are after the 9th of November.
We then have a Mantic tournament on the 23rd of November in the UK.
Oh, that's right. My birthday's before that. Yeah.
Also got Flashpoint on the 29th of November, all the way down in Aldershot in the UK again. And then the next one that I'm going to plug my own one is Into the Unknown Winter 2025, which is going to be held at Mantic Games on Saturday, the 13th of December. And I have a ton of prize support. So if you're in the UK and thinking about playing a tournament, just have a little look at it on the app. And it would be nice to see everyone. We've got 30 spaces so far. The biggest tournament that has happened at Mantic Games is about 20, but 2 people were ill. So can we get more than 20 players for December?
Well, we'll help out by putting a link below as well for anyone that's interested. You have to send me that link there, Ash, and we'll put it in there, put in the description on both the YouTube and the Spotify. And yeah, we'll try hit a record, because it'll be a really good notch for the game as well to be able to beat their current record there. All right. Well, I guess I'm terrible at wrapping things up, so I guess we'll wrap things up there. So thanks for everyone for listening. It's been really a lot of fun as always. This is one of the highlights to my week, really, is doing these podcasts, because I really get to live vicariously through James and now Ash, and for everyone else out there that do comments, because I don't get to go to tournaments all the time. But I love hearing about it, and I love seeing this game evolve, because I love Halo, because I've been a Halo nut for longer than I can remember. My Halo 3 helmet's still right there, right in the middle. And I love talking about the game. Cool. Yeah, thanks Ash for popping along, and thanks James for being here as always, and hopefully we see you guys again.
We'll see you soon. Thanks everybody.
No problem. Thank you everyone.